Eyewitness News starts right now with breaking news.
We are following that breaking news right now out of Charleston, where a Charleston police officer was shot in the line of duty. It happened just before 3 on Garrison Avenue, which is in the Westmoreland area. Kanawha County Sheriff's deputies say a female officer was responding to a parking complaint and was shot. The suspect was also shot. New details have been coming in all afternoon. We do have multiple crews on this story tonight. Whitney Wetzel anchoring our coverage from the scene.
And Callie, still quite a police presence out here right now. Now, we are being kept back just a bit from where this scene actually happened. You can see just down the road here on Garrison Avenue. We do know that a female Charleston police officer, as you said, was responding to a parking complaint when she was shot. We also know that the suspect was shot, presumably by the officer, and is now in custody. And we do have live team coverage tonight. Rachel Urbanski is live at CAMC General, where that officer is now undergoing surgery. We'll check in with her in just a moment. Anthony Kahn is live at the Charleston Police Department, but we want to begin with Danielle Dindak, who was first here on scene this afternoon. Danielle, what did this scene look like whenever you first got here?
This was a major police presence once we first got here, but let me first tell you about what's going on here right now. As you can see behind me, the caution tape is still up, and we continue to see cruisers go up and down Garrison Avenue. This call came in around 2:45 this afternoon, and as you can see in this video, dozens of first responders lined the streets in Garrison Avenue and Crescent Road. Police Chief Hunt was on the scene earlier, and we are waiting for an official statement from him. But right now, we do know this all started with a simple parking complaint. The officer came out to investigate, and right now, we don't know how things escalated so dramatically. We have learned that the female officer was shot in the face, and the suspect was also shot, presumably by the female officer, and he was taken into custody elsewhere on Garrison Avenue by Charleston Police. The Kanawha County Sheriff's Office is helping with this investigation. We also see members of the State Police, South Charleston Police, St. Albans Police, and the FBI. When it comes to this area, neighbors tell me the house has been a problem, and this is a nice area, but drugs have taken it over. Now, as I just said, the police are still here investigating this, so if you are in the area, please use caution. In Charleston, Danielle Dindak, Eyewitness News.
All right, Danielle, thanks. And right now we do know that the officer was taken to CAMC, where she is now undergoing surgery. We also know that Mayor Amy Goodwin is at the hospital as well with that officer's family. Let's go live to Rachel Urbanski. She is live outside of General now with more on the officer's condition. Rachel?
Whitney, it has been a steady stream of officers from different agencies over the last several hours coming here to CAMC General. Charleston Mayor Amy Goodwin has confirmed that that officer is now in surgery. Goodwin is also here at the hospital along with dozens of other officers who are asking for prayers and support at this tragic and as this situation develops. Right now, details about what led up to that officer being shot have not been released. We do know that the Kanawha County Sheriff's Office is working with the Charleston Police on this investigation. And right now, again, we know one suspect is in custody, and that suspect is also hospitalized after he was shot as well. Now, within the last 3 minutes, this ambulance behind us, this blue ambulance, just pulled in. That is where officers and family and friends have been gathering over the last 2 hours since we got here. We also know that the Charleston Police Chief Hunt is here as well. We're hoping to learn more information. And of course, we're going to update you on air, on and online. Live in Charleston, Rachel Urbanski, Eyewitness News.
All right, Rachel, and we do know that we are working to learn more now about the suspect as well. We do know that he was taken to the hospital and is in custody. Anthony Kahn is live outside of CPD headquarters right now as we await those details about the suspect. Anthony?
Yeah, not a lot of details right now about this suspect, other than the fact, as we've been reporting, that police have told us that this suspect was presumably shot by the officer that this suspect allegedly shot today. And now, so we're told that right now the suspect is in the hospital, and we are awaiting more details as they become available. And it has not been an easy year by any means for law enforcement. Lots of heightened tensions at the national level, and we have seen a few issues, but not as many here in the Kanawha Valley. We saw back in February an officer getting beaten with an antique iron on the west side and as part of a crime spree there. But you have to go back to 2017, the last time that an officer in Charleston was actually shot. But that officer recovered after the bullet hit that officer's bulletproof vest. You have to go back many more years before that, before a police officer was shot and killed on the line of duty. But we will be sure to pass along more details about this suspect here today as they become available. For now, live in Charleston, Anthony Kahn, Eyewitness News.
All right, Anthony, and back out here on scene, we are still waiting to learn more about what led up to this shooting, as well as, of course, the officer's condition. Police Chief TYKE Hunt and Mayor Amy Goodwin, though, are asking for all Charleston residents to keep the Charleston Police Department in their thoughts and prayers tonight. We'll have another update coming up at 5:30. Callie? Right now, we do know that the officer was taken to CAMC General, and we actually want to go live right now to a press conference being held by the Chief of Police and the Mayor. Let's go live to that.
I wanted to give an update about what we had going on Garrison Avenue earlier today. We had an officer-involved shooting. Patrolman Cassie was responding to a parking complaint, and that resulted in a suspect firing upon her. Officer Johnson was struck in what would normally be a fatal wound, but in the true fighting spirit of the Charleston Police Department and those who are truly called to serve, she is a fighter. She has a pulse, and she's not out of the woods, but she is going to be recovering, and we hope and pray, we pray that she please makes a full recovery.
And Whitney, now we are learning more about that officer.
Yeah, Callie, and a big update coming at the top of the hour. The officer's name, Cassie Johnson, is recovering tonight after undergoing surgery for being shot in the face. We have received this video and picture of Officer Johnson. This all unfolding here on Garrison Avenue this afternoon, just after 2:30. And take a look at this video from the scene here of the suspect's car being towed just around 5:30 this afternoon. It is a red Dodge Durango. This was the car involved in the parking complaint that Officer Johnson was responding to when she was shot. That call came in around 2:45 this afternoon. And, you know, dozens of first responders lined the streets here after that on Garrison Avenue and Crescent Road. The officer came out to investigate, and we still right now do not know how or why things escalated so dramatically. We do know that the suspect was also shot, though, presumably by Officer Johnson. He was taken into custody elsewhere on Garrison Avenue, but he's now at the hospital recovering as well. Police Chief TYKE Hunt speaking about today's events in a press conference here just at the top of the hour. Take a listen to a bit of what he had to say.
We had an officer-involved shooting. Patrolman Cassie was responding to a parking complaint, and that resulted in a suspect firing upon her. Officer Johnson was struck in what would normally be a fatal wound, but in the true fighting spirit of the Charleston Police Department and those who are truly called to serve, she is a fighter.
Chief Hunt asking for Charleston residents' prayers for that officer as well as the suspect tonight. And Mayor Amy Goodwin also asking for prayers for the officer's family as well. Now, all of our reporters are providing live updates on their social media pages. We will also have up-to-the-minute updates on WCHSTV.com, so stay tuned to Eyewitness News for more details on this breaking news.
Eyewitness News starts right now with breaking news.
And tonight at 10, we are continuing to follow the latest developments after a Charleston police officer was shot in the line of duty. New tonight, exclusive video as officers swarmed the area and surrounded the suspect with guns drawn to take him into custody. They say he took off after the officer returned fire, but as you can see, he did not get very far.
And tonight, Officer Cassie Johnson is still in CAMC General Hospital. The chief of police says she sustained what could have been a fatal fatal injury, but she's fighting and did make it through surgery. Prayers and support pouring in tonight from across the state as the chief says Officer Johnson isn't out of the woods just yet.
And all of this started with a seemingly simple call to check out a parking complaint. Johnson responded to that complaint on Garrison Avenue, which is in the Westmoreland area, around 2:45 this afternoon to check things out when the situation took a dramatic turn. This was the scene as officers from multiple departments flooded that area after the call went out that one of their own was down. And we continue tonight with our team coverage of this still developing story. Rachel Urbanski is at CAMC General Hospital, where Officer Johnson is now recovering and out of surgery. But first, Danielle Dindak is at the Charleston Police Department with reaction from neighbors and more video of that arrest. Danielle?
It was a very tense scene, and neighbors tell me they were shocked when they looked out their window and saw dozens of armed officers. And the neighbors caught it all on tape.
Neighbors looking on and recording in disbelief as dozens of officers swarm Garrison Avenue and surround this red Dodge Durango. Guns drawn, yelling at the man inside to get out and put his hands up. The suspect refuses, and they eventually have to force him out. Police say this is a suspect who shot a Charleston officer in the neck. That officer, Charleston Police Department Patrolman Cassie Johnson. Chief Hunt says she was shot in the line of duty after responding to a parking complaint. It's unknown how things escalated so quickly. The suspect was also shot, presumably by Johnson. But after allegedly shooting Officer Johnson, the suspect took off, speeding about a mile down the road to what neighbors say is his mother's house. That's where dozens of officers caught up with him and finally take him into custody. Despite being shot, he was able to walk away from the scene. We spoke with an eyewitness, but they didn't feel comfortable with us disclosing their name.
Me and my friend, we heard gunshots. We went outside and we saw dozens of police officers heading towards our neighbor's house.
When it comes to this area, neighbors tell us the house in question has been a problem.
Were you shocked? Did you think something like this would ever happen in this neighborhood?
No, honestly not. You know, I don't know my neighbors very well, but I never thought something like this would happen.
The Kanawha County Sheriff's Department is helping with this investigation. Also on scene, members of the state police, FBI, plus South Charleston, St. Albans, and Dunbar police departments, all answering the call when they heard an officer was down.
Now, this is still very early in the investigation, and police have yet to release the suspect's name, the extent of his injuries, and if there's any warrants out for his arrest. And of course, we'll continue to ask those questions and bring you those answers as soon as we get them. In Charleston, Danielle Dindak, Eyewitness News.
All right, thank you, Danielle. Right now, Officer Johnson is fighting for her life. She made it through surgery, but isn't in the clear just yet. Rachel Urbanski continuing our team coverage now live outside of CAMC General. Rachel?
After about a 3-hour surgery, Officer Cassie Johnson is in stable but critical condition. Police say she is showing her strength, surviving being shot in the neck, and they say that should have killed her. Calming music is the backdrop to words no officer wants to hear.
We had an officer-involved shooting.
Charleston Police Chief TYKE Hunt says Officer Cassie Johnson was shot after responding to a parking complaint.
What would normally be a fatal wound, but in the true fighting spirit of the Charleston Police Department and those who are truly called to serve, she is a fighter.
By 3 o'clock this afternoon, word had gotten around about the shooting. Every street surrounding CAMC was lined with law enforcement cars. Officers standing by each doorway, anxiously awaiting any news. Some stopping by just to offer a prayer for the officer who's been with the department since 2019.
It's a big thank you.
So not only do we need your prayers tonight for Cassidy, but we need prayers tonight for her mother Cheryl, her sister Chelsea, but also to our first responders.
Holding back tears, the police chief finds comfort in certainty.
She's a fighter.
Now, at last check, I was told her family was still inside. And there are plenty of police still here. Just before our live shot, we saw 3 or 4 cars leave the scene. And as you can imagine, many of these officers are going to have a hard time sleeping tonight and will probably hold and hug their families a little tighter. Live in Charleston, Rachel Urbanski, Eyewitness News.
Rachel, thanks. Johnson became a part of the Charleston police force back in January of 2019. This is video from when she was sworn in at City Hall by Mayor Amy Goodwin and then Police Chief Opie Smith. Johnson completed her 16-week training program at the police academy, then passed her 80-hour orientation there at the Charleston Police Department.
Of course, this shooting happening at a time when nationwide violence against police is on the rise. That's according to the FBI. In Charleston, an officer was beaten with an antique iron earlier this year in a violent attack, but you have to go back to 2017 for the last time an officer was shot in the line of duty in the capital city. Officer Seth Johnson shot while responding to a home invasion call. He survived after the bullet hit his bulletproof vest. And stay connected with us as we learn more about this still developing story. All of our reporters are providing updates on their social media pages. We also have up-to-the-minute updates on WCHSTV.com.